Hey guys, so this video is not for the Delulu solo stan fans of V from BTS, Kim Tae-hyung, although it will address some of their crazy comments about the interaction that V had with Vogue's Anna Wintour in Paris at the Celine fashion show. At the time, I said that there was something a little bit sus with Anna Wintour's actions, and turns out that the video that we saw was edited somewhat and it made her look better, but she still looked a little sus. So I thought maybe, well, you know, if there is a benefit of the doubt, maybe she really wasn't that rude. Turns out, guys, there's a new video and she was that rude. And then some. It was the queen of fashion, looking like a stunt queen, missing a shoulder pad. Now, my comments from before was more from the perspective of somebody who is a fan of V. I don't like to try to say I have a bias in BTS, but if I did, it is V. V was like the first BTS member that I thought was my favorite. Now I love them all, but if I had to choose, it would be a real close neck and neck between Jin and V. So what I said was out of concern for him, and actually in a way saying that he was so much better than all of this situation. Yes, it is flattering for Anna Wintour to acknowledge you, have you come sit down next to you and next to her and invite you to an event, but that's for a normal person. I'm saying that V is so much more than a normal person. And you guys were just like, oh, not all of you, but just, you know, the Delulu solo stans, you know, and it's good that you are very protective of V, but you got to have a clearer perspective of who's actually protecting and who's not. You guys are sort of like, you know, the Delulu solo stans saying like, oh, how could you be so negative against, you know, let's say like in high school, like the football quarterback, not like all of them are, but let's say he's an F-boy and suddenly he's like, oh, like, you know, I really want you to come to the bleachers. And yeah, if you a thought and you're just sort of just like, well, okay, yo, so flattered by it, you're gonna be running over them bleachers with like, you know, your skirt halfway, you know, whatever. But friends would be like, no, don't go. And also, you're so much better than that. And, you know, if you're gonna just be a thought and say like, well, V should run over to LA to the Hollywood event to Vogue World like it was them bleachers, then maybe you're gonna be the thought looking for yesterday's panties tomorrow at recess. And the reason why I'm doubling down on this is that, oh my God, let's check out this snippet that was just released on Loïc Prejeant's YouTube channel. And he covered the Celine fashion show as he covers many fashion shows, and his video just came out yesterday, and oh my goodness, it was really good, but showed a totally different side to that fashion show than we've previously seen. But most importantly, we got to see the snark, but not in a funny way, come out of Anna Wintour and her interaction with V. And what we didn't see until now, thank you, Loïc, was the king of shade, V's translator or bodyguard. It looked like he had like a multi-hyphenate situation there where multiple bodyguards who also were translating. Oh my God, but one of them was the king of the shade.
It's on your journey.
How are you?
Good.
Okay, yes. We're hoping you're coming to, excuse me, make a person. Excuse me, make a person. Excuse me, make a person. We're hoping you're coming to our event in Hollywood in October.
10월에 할리우드에서 행사 있는데 와우 왔으면 좋겠다는데 그때는 Okay.
That's a yes. Excellent. That's a yes. Excellent. That's a yes. Excellent.
Vogue World.
We'll try to figure out. We'll try.
That would be amazing.
We have a lot of things to work on, so we'll let you know. We'll let you know. We'll let you know.
You need to know. You need to know. You need to know.
Well, congratulations on your journey. Well, congratulations on your journey. Well, congratulations on your journey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you see the audacity for her to say, come closer. Now you can hear there she said, excuse me. And that excuse me sounded pretty rude, but she didn't even say excuse me to V. She literally commanded him to come down to her like he was a dog. And she said that excuse me to the girl right next to her that was sitting next to her, basically saying like, I'm going to lean over you and I'm going to, command him to come down to listen to me. And that girl, by the way, is a TV star from Schitt's Creek. And she is the character of Stevie. She's hilarious. If you haven't seen that whole TV drama, it's so funny. I would recommend it. But she was there. Her co-star was there. Dan Levy, Alanis Morissette was there. The Canadians, because the new creative director Celine is a Canadian, so apparently I guess they knew each other from way back in the day. Now we get a clearer picture and we don't have the distraction of looking at V. So I'm so glad with this Loïc Regent's point of view, which was directed on Anna, and we just see the back of V and we see the bodyguards and translators. Please come. Okay. And then she's like, that's a yes? Excellent. Like she's trying to rope him in or sound like she's selling annuities over in Boca. Like, come on. Like he's basically saying, okay, oh, great. Like non-committal. And she's trying to say that like, well, he said yes, got him. As if.
As if.
So the assistant's like Vogue World, and that assistant before was prompting Anna. So we got to see the full picture. Like she didn't even really know or really care about V. And then she's like, oh yes, right. We need to get his confirmation, his RSVP to our Vogue World in Hollywood. And then there was a clarification because the translator understood what kind of social faux pas could happen if later on they get contacted by Anna Wintour's office saying like, I personally talked to V at Celine at Fashion Week and he committed to coming to our event, and when that was none the case whatsoever. So to squash that right in the moment, we had this king of a translator say, we'll try to figure it out. We have a lot of things to work on. We'll let you know. So kind of pulling a little bit of a power move. And then Anna, oh my God, Miss Petty herself, she's like, you need to come. Oh, like she has the audacity to order him to come. And this, yes, loved it. When the translator said, congratulations on your journey. And Anna just had to like be shut up and say, thank you. Congratulations on your journey. Okay. If this was somewhat of a mistake in his translation, then God was on his side. If he deliberately said this, he is a genius and the king.
Well, congratulations on your journey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your journey, as if she was some sort of influencer who finally made it to the front row of a fashion show. It was like a clash of worlds where you could see the differences, but then some of the similarities. Like Anna Wintour, she's like a Brit who went to America, so she has sort of a blend of the two, but I would say more so because of her Britishness and then also being in more of like an upper echelon of New York society in the fashion world, also be talking in passive aggressive subtext, and there ain't nothing that Korean people do better than the passive aggressive subtext. So Anna was outgunned even by the bodyguard of V. But Anna could have been in a bit of a petty mood going into the fashion show because she had been boycotting Celine for years after her tiff with the previous creative director, Hedi Slimane. And the outfit that V actually was wearing was designed by the previous creative director who left in 2024. So this was the first fashion show by the new creative director, the Canadian dude. And Anna suddenly popped up. And even Loïc Prejean said that Anna Wintour was like the mystery guest. Yeah, she was a mystery guest because she hadn't shown up for years because they had a falling out. Anna Wintour and the previous creative director of Celine. And I think it's worth bringing up because I think it does start to indicate why you should really take a skeptical assessment of that kind of a rude invitation and trying to roping in an invitation and then trying to later on be manufacturing a situation where Anna is the victim, where I can't believe you're turning down my invitation when you had confirmed in Paris. That's the manipulation that she was setting up, okay? JIT New Jeans Mama style. And Hedi Slimane did not like how there was so much interference, this entitled control from Anna Wintour, who is not a fashion designer, not an employee of Celine, but insisting on, like she does apparently in terms of all of her MO in interacting with designers, is having artistic control, media strategy, even branding the narratives, and having so much backstage access. Yes, under the guise of, well, we need to cover your fashion show, so you need to have our people come backstage. Sure, there's a lot of people backstage, but it looks like she was manipulating way too, overstepping her bounds. Almost to the point, what if we reversed the situation? And over in Conde Nast, Donatella Versace, what if she demanded to sit in on your editorial meetings, select some photos, design the cover shoot, and even copy edit the articles? You would be like, step back, honey. You're not an employee of Vogue or Conde Nast. You are the fashion designer. Well, Manolo, on the other foot, you're the editor-in-chief of a magazine that's supposed to just cover the fashion and the fashion designs. Now, I think Slimane also had some tiff with Anna Wintour because she had fired one of his best buddies in the fashion industry, who was the editor of Vogue Paris. And so he didn't like that, and that led to some sort of escalating clash. But Hedi Slimane apparently did really good job as a designer. His stuff sold well. I think that is the differentiator of why you may be able to, beyond his own independent personality streak that he had, to be able to challenge the power of Anna Wintour, is that if your clothes just freaking sell on its own without the help of all of the pixie dust that Miss Wintour claims that her voguiness can provide, then you have a lot to stand on to be like, look, girl, stop interfering, because your interfering actually may mess up his bag in terms of his design and his brand identity that creates good sales. Apparently, he also worked at Yves Saint Laurent, and his suits were so popular that Karl Lagerfeld reportedly lost 92 pounds just to fit into his clothes. And so if you did like V's outfit at the Celine 2025 Paris fashion show where he, had that rude interaction with Anna Wintour, that was also designed by Slimane. So the jacket apparently was his signature detailing with the geometric embroidery, gold buttons, cropped. It was button-up gray. Trousers were high-waisted pleated with the clean tailored silhouette, and the accessories were, minimalist, gold hoops, layered necklaces, heeled boots to match the aesthetic. But Slimane wasn't the only one who has had a public feud with Anna Wintour for seemingly like the same reason. The guy who founded Alaia, Mr. Alaia, and I don't think he's with us anymore. He started like in the 1960s, and he looked like he had also clothes that sold well on its own, and he did not like Anna Wintour's superficial fashion culture dominated by the editors and making these power plays in the fashion industry where the designers felt stifled by the fashion media editors. And so that seems, if you are the fashion designer and you are doing the work upon which the fashion editors and medias eat upon, then why don't they, you at least have the right to speak up for yourself, unless you are like kind of really intimidated and bullied into the situation, and he didn't want any of that. So Mr. Alaia said, who will remember Anna Wintour in the history of fashion? No one. Ooh, so I don't know if that's going to be completely true, but he does have a certain point. And when you look at the Alaia kind of, clothes even now today, they seem like they probably sell well on their own. They look like the rich people's like Old Navy or Banana Republic, like people buying their actual like staple clothes, that are like $3,000 to $5,000 just for like, one thing here or there, like as if it was like $30 or $50 or even like $3 or $15 for regular people. But that creates a different style, source of power where that's like some real revenue, whereas a lot of the other fashion houses, even though they have like these strong brands, most of their money does come from fragrances, accessories, and handbags. And the clothes themselves are so like just art pieces or way priced out of reach, or they just don't make enough money on the clothes itself. So you need the power of the Vogues and the real media machine, so that you can sell your fragrances, because people are just like kind of dreaming of like maybe the dress, but they're just going to spray on the fragrance. Whereas like the Alaias and the Slimanes with his Celine, it looks like these are like actual rich people staples clothes. So like, they actually make money from the clothes. And even Megyn Kelly, the former Fox NBC news anchor and now very successful content creator, said that Anna Wintour tried to tell her what to wear and she wasn't having none of that. And I tend to agree because, Anna Wintour has had the same hair since 1985. She has been wearing the same cutout dress pattern since 2005. And here in 2025, her petty attitude does not look good. There's some new book or account, even more like the Devil Wears Prada type of tell-all that comes out. And they said that, Anna Wintour, like when she would go out to lunch, she would need a cappuccino like right away when she arrived. And so the staff would make it in advance, but it couldn't sit for more than 2 minutes. So they were making a new cappuccino every 2 minutes until she arrived. And apparently one time, like they even made like 12 cappuccinos, threw them away, made another one because she was a little bit late. And, all this is probably, charged to the petty cash over at Conde Nast, and now I understand. I thought, yeah, petty cash, means small amount, but I was just like, but where's the petty in that petty? Well, that's where the petty met the petticoat. And speaking of money, Conde Nast is not what it used to be. It's a private company, so the financials are not as public as if it were a public company. It's a private company owned by the Newhouse family, and they started in the 1920s to build a media empire out of traditional media like newspapers, radio, TV, and they had some really big cash outs with their investments in cable TV in 80s or 90s, and then in the 2010s with Reddit. But the Conde Nast magazine empire, it's sort of like a chaebol or a conglomerate of media magazine entities mainly, was more prestige for this family rather than the actual place where they generated a lot of wealth, because the revenue of the entire companies, the biggest year they had was about 2.2 or 2.3 billion dollars back in 2013. So that's a lot of money, yes, but in terms of the amount of petty that she puts in the petty cash, that kind of attitude, not even a president or the owner of a $30 billion company would act like that. And she's not the owner. When you think about it, she's just an employee of this whole Conde Nast empire. So, or just Vogue. And then now she's weaseled her way to say I'm going to be the artistic controller of all of our magazines. I was like, whoa, that's a lot of magazines. Okay, turns out not really, because in 1988, when she became the editor-in-chief, there were about 25 to 30 magazines. And now there's only 6 to 8. 6 to 8. Yes, maybe 10 or 12 have turned into digital only, but a lot of them were sold off. So what is this? So when you really look at the money aspect of it, yeah, Conde Nast is in a very bad place right now. 1988, if we're just looking at when Anna became editor-in-chief, to 2007, that was the golden era of profits every year. Profitable. And then 2008 to 2016 was struggling and mixed, and they had 3 to 4 profitable years and 5 to 6 unprofitable years. Then 2017 to 2021, every year was unprofitable, losing money, and sometimes tens of millions. I think even broke 100 million before. And then in the past 2 years, they're claiming that they're break even or slightly gaining. So this is not a situation where we can see now that, yeah, maybe, Anna is not above hustling, but when she forgot, when you hustle, you have to have a little bit of humility in there, not being we really need you to come to our event in October in Hollywood. And then when, the representatives say that, okay, we're going to check and then we'll let you know, she's like, you need to come. I'm sorry, we're not at the new World Trade Center offices where, you still have rats running around there. So this is, again, why the Vogue World Hollywood in LA may be a misfire for V, and he should really seriously consider declining Anna Wintour's invitation. Not just because it would be the appropriate response to her very sloppy power move that she was trying to force upon V, but it is a bit of a tone-deaf type of event where it's supposed to be for charity, but right now there's a tense atmosphere in Los Angeles because of a lot of the ICE raids, the immigration raids. And so that has really hit the fashion production community, the immigrant garment workers. And so this high glam event, while workers are living in fear, may come across a bit as tone deaf or superficial. Also, Vogue's cultural credibility, it's kind of on a downturn. And recently they had the cover of Their June issue feature the Bezos wedding. So, I mean, I thought Anna said that, you know, to be on the cover of Vogue, it had to mean something. Okay, so what does that really mean? Okay, they must have gotten a lot of Amazon affiliate codes or something. They did say that the proceeds of the tickets will go to that fund that assists people working in Hollywood. And yes, that hopefully that will actually work out. But we just had, like right after the fires, we just had a very high profile fire aid concert, which, to be fair, is not directly, you know, connected to Conde Nast or Vogue, but it's similar in its ilk of this like celebrity dripping kind of high profile event that claims to do something. And it raised about $100 million, but months later, a lot of families say that they've never received any support. And instead, the funds went to nonprofits via the Annenberg Foundation. So maybe it does take time for them to do a judicious application procedure or process or, you know, all that kind of stuff. But California itself has had a very bad reputation with taking money from either taxpayers or donors, claiming that it's going to go help victims of homelessness or the fires or some other disaster. And it doesn't. It doesn't, and it gets stolen by people who are, you know, cronies as intermediaries, and the victims are never helped. So it risks being lumped into the same category. And so that's why I think, you know, it should be a bit careful about this. Now, apparently V and other members of BTS are currently in Los Angeles working on their comeback album, you know, recording in the music studio, probably working with a lot of great world-class producers, probably the world-class producers that Chairman Pang found for New Jeans. And he's like, well, I found them anyway. Why don't we just let BTS work with them? And so if they're already here, I think it would be really good for V to do something that is actually meaningful to help victims of the wildfire, and then sort of peace out by the time it's October and, you know, go back to Korea, probably, you know, maybe do the preparations that they need to do in Korea. And, you know, he may be able to, you know, Paris Hilton adopted a dog or fostered a dog, which basically means like we're going to hold on to this lost dog until we can find its owner or reconnect it, or when the owner is, you know, finally has a house again where they can take the dog back. And we know that V really likes his dog, and so maybe his dog in LA, if he brought his dog to LA, maybe they'll need a companion. Or maybe if he had to leave his dog behind in Korea, then, you know, it might be great for him to foster a dog while he is here, or volunteer at the animal rescue center and do something very meaningful for the victims of the wildfire, and really show his support in that way, rather than be wrapped up in a situation that could be so out of touch, tone deaf, and totally being used for his star power for an event of very questionable return for himself and BTS in a media landscape where Vogue and Conde Nast, yes, they are still powerhouses and have big brands, but really the percentage of their prestige that comes from their past rather than their current, and definitely their future, is way heavily weighed on the past. The future is not really with Anna Wintour and her shenanigans over at Vogue, because V is not Emily. Emily, who is at your beck and call, making cappuccinos for you every 2 minutes. Frankly, he's a lot bigger than Vogue at the moment. And yes, partnerships with Conde Nast, the publications, very important. And, you know, nobody should be so high on their laurels. But that also includes Miss Wintour herself, who, you know, congratulations on your journey in this new media environment. And may you be able to have continued influence, but the way that that is generated and created and supported by the public is completely different and requires a different sense of humility in this modern age of the digital media. All right, guys, what do you think? Put your comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.